Hi folks, today I'm going to talk a little bit about 3 keys of the major arcana of the tarot, which I feel describe the human predicament right now extremely well and our current situation in the world. So the major arcana describe the process of the evolution of consciousness, ultimately leading to spiritual enlightenment. And the 3 keys that I'm going to focus on today are the Devil, the Tower, and the Star card. So let's take a look firstly at the Devil card. So this is where I feel humanity is at very much as a collective. And the Devil card represents the matrix and everything that keeps us tethered to the physical 3D reality. So you can see the symbolism in the card. Let's first of all talk about the devil, the word devil itself, which actually spells lived backwards, in the same way that the word evil is the word live in reverse. So also you'll see above the devil there's an inverted pentagram, and the pentagram, when it is in its upright position, is actually a very positive symbol because it represents our mastery of the 5 elements. But when it is reversed like this, it actually symbolizes a misunderstanding of our true place in the universe, and it represents our attachment again to the material realm and the pursuit of material gain above all else. Also in the devil card you can see there's a man and a woman who are chained to the devil, and this is the same man and woman which appear earlier in the major arcana in the Lovers card. But in the devil card here, the energy of the man and the woman again has become distorted because they have become overly involved in the material world and have forgotten the true meaning of life and their connection to spirit. So the devil is very much about this darkness that we can fall into when we lose touch with our spiritual selves and our true selves, and we become completely caught up in the material realm. And again, coming back to the symbolism of the card, the devil has bat wings, and that symbolizes the power of darkness. But you can see if you look closely at the man and the woman that the chains around their necks are actually very loose, which suggests that they really could free themselves of this situation if they wanted to, but in fact they've actually become quite comfortable in this 3D reality in the material realm, although they are just existing and not truly living. But they're sort of stuck in their comfort zone and they don't really want to make any effort to free themselves from their limiting beliefs. So this is all about limiting subconscious beliefs or programming of society, which keeps us trapped in a very narrow viewpoint and keeps us separated from our true identity and from our true potential. So that's the situation that I feel we're in collectively, or that humanity is in collectively, caught up in this world where the 5 senses seem to be all that there is, and that's why the devil is holding his hand up with his 5 fingers spread, symbolizing the 5 senses, and that is the illusion that what we perceive with our 5 senses is all that really is. So this makes me think a lot of what people see and hear when they turn on the media and they believe everything that they are being told and everything they're seeing on the screen and everything they're hearing. But as you can see in the Devil card, it's a very dark card, so it's symbolizing the darkness and the things that are hidden from our view when we are operating solely from the five senses. So let's move on now to the next card, which is the Tower. And I actually feel a real affinity with the Tower card because I have Scorpio moon, and Scorpio rules is very much associated with the Tower card. Let me just go back a moment actually to the Devil, because I wanted to talk about the astrological association with the Tower, which is Capricorn. And I think it's very significant at the moment that we have Pluto in Capricorn. The Devil really represents the shadow side of Capricorn. Capricorn is authority, discipline, government, and at the moment we have Pluto in Capricorn giving power to that energy, but again it's the shadow side of that Capricorn energy that we're seeing being played out, an abuse of power. So moving back again to the Tower, and as I said, yes, I have a real great affinity for the Tower card because being a Scorpio moon, this Tower experience is quite familiar to me, and I feel that it is territory that I know how to navigate fairly well, even though it can be very traumatic energy, and many people don't like to see the Tower card coming out in a reading, but I always see it as a very positive thing. It's sort of like the situation of things having to get a lot worse before they get better. So the Tower card, if we have a look at the picture, we see a tower being struck by lightning. And this lightning represents a sudden influx of spiritual consciousness. And this results in the tower starting to fall down. The tower is starting to crumble. It's like the tower is built on sand, and the sand that the tower is built on are our false beliefs about the world and about our reality. So when this sudden influx of spiritual consciousness comes in, it upsets everything in our lives. It's like the rug has been pulled from underneath us, and you can see the king and queen falling from the tower. You see the crown falling, which represents again this dethroning of materialism, which has become the new religion in our society. So once the tower hits, once the spiritual energy comes in, everything is upset. So it's like a massive wake-up call. The tower strikes down on our old belief systems that we've worked so hard to build up and that we have become enslaved by, really. It might feel a bit like a rude awakening, might actually take the form of a downfall and things falling apart in our lives, because sometimes we need to hit rock bottom, or our ego needs to hit rock bottom before we can overcome our attachment to the egoic mindset and the material world. So this is actually a symbol of divine intervention, which causes a restructuring. Things have to be destroyed before they can be rebuilt. So this is making me think again of the current situation, and I feel that we're heading for a collective tower moment, because the situation in the world right now is so unsustainable that it doesn't make sense for anything else to happen than a massive collapse, and that's what we're heading towards, I believe. Next year, I would say, we're going to see the beginning of a massive collapse, starting maybe in the US and spreading worldwide. But while this can seem very scary to people, a very scary concept or prospect, it's a necessary part of the process, because in order to experience a rebirth, we have to first experience the death. And of course, there is no real death. Death is just an illusion. It's just part of a journey part of the journey that we're on in life. And in order to experience transformation, which is what we really badly need as a society, we need to have this collective tower moment and this destruction of all the old systems that have been in place for millennia, that have really been not serving our highest good and keeping us trapped at a very low level of existence. And really, as a race, we're ready to move on to the next stage in our evolution. So we have to let go of all of the things that are keeping us back. And for me, when I look at the current astrology, this is represented by the Pluto, which we discussed, Pluto being in Capricorn and bringing power, but Pluto also then brings destruction, death, rebirth and transformation. So that leads us on to the third card of the trilogy that we're focusing on today. And the third card is the Star. And you can see straight away that the appearance of this card is very different to the previous two, which have been quite dark. So that's because the Star really represents the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a spiritual light, and this is the light that guides us out of the dark. And this can only happen by us becoming more aware of the spiritual side of life. So let's look at the symbolism in the card. So we have the woman in the card who is naked, and her nakedness represents purity. And we also see then there is a large star in the middle of 7 other stars, and this represents the source of our light, the source of our creation, and the 7 stars surrounding it represent the 7 inner stars of the chakras. So that adds up to 8 stars in total, and 8 is a number of infinity. So this is representing the infinite possibility that exists after the tower moment, when we're really at ground zero and we can rebuild really anything that we want, because now we're no longer in the chains of the devil. We're no longer in the chains of the illusion that the 3D matrix is all that there is. Also, if you look at the card, the woman has one foot on the water and the other foot on the earth, and she has 2 water jugs, and she's pouring water into the pool, and she's pouring water onto the earth. Now the water that she's pouring onto the earth splits into 5 streams, and this represents the material world and the 5 senses. But if you notice that she's actually turned away from this world, and she's now more directed towards the pool. And the pool represents our inner world, and that's what she's focusing on. And this inner world we can only have access to through meditation and going within and examining the true scope of our consciousness, which is so much more than what the physical world would lead us to believe. So through meditation we connect with our true self, we receive inspiration, we receive spiritual light, we feel much better, we feel much lighter, and this is the light at the end of the tunnel. So this is us connecting with cosmic energy and our true potential. So this is connected with the sign of Aquarius, because Aquarius is the water bearer, and Aquarius is associated with enlightenment, with innovation, with inspiration and creativity. And this is what we're heading towards now, as we head towards the age of Aquarius. And we can think about this Pluto again. Pluto in Capricorn is going to then move from Capricorn in 2024 into the sign of Aquarius, bringing the power into this humanitarian sign, where we're going to build a new world. We're going to see so much innovation, and the focus is going to be on freedom and humanitarianism and power to the people. So that's where we're heading to. So we're starting off, as I said, at the Devil card. We have to go through the Tower experience, and we're going to end up at the Star. So the message of the video really is that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but we're probably going to have to go through a bit of a bumpy road to get there in the meantime.